guess.
Holy shit, Kevin!
Wow. What?
You got this only nowhere else but you, Kevin and Zach. Kevin, I'm not gonna lie.
Now we're not gonna a carved penguin. There it is.
Oh no. Are the O's fine? Are the Orioles fine, Kevin?
I'm so embarrassed.
Okay. The Orioles stole it. That game was stolen. It was stolen from them, then they stole it right back.
What?
Oh my God.
Wait, what's going on?
What is happening? What is going? Was it a diving play? He bobbled the ball.
What is happening? Are they challenging it? No. Other wall. No.
Kevin, I don't know what you saw, how much you saw. I've been chugging champagne. Sure, I spilled a lot, but what a game, man.
He will be the legendary
Birdfish!
How about that?
Birdfish fans, stand up. We did it.
What can I say? What can I say?
Kevin, I don't know what to say. It has been an interesting day in Baltimore for the Ravens. I guess we want to take it a step further. Championship caliber team is going to be playing in Camden Yards in October. Rams practicing at Camden Yards, just how we drew it up, Kevin. We knew it all along. But yeah, Kevin, I mean, how are we feeling today? Kevin, you're muted. All right, it's not. Literally, it was just coming through. Yeah. I was like, we literally, right before we hopped on, we were talking. I don't know what just happened during the countdown. No. All right, try leaving, coming back. I will start it off, and then we'll try. So we're going to try take two when Kevin gets back. But for those, welcome in, Kevin and Zach React. Let's see.
Okay, how about now?
Oh, we're back. We are so back. I don't know.
So crazy. I don't know why that happened. We were talking.
I know. I was going to say, we literally just had full conversation.
I know. And Laura saying technology. Let me tell you, I had the time of my life uploading my show this morning. The download cut off the last 3 minutes of the show for Locked On Ravens. I noticed at 5:59, a minute before my show was supposed to come out. And I'm like, so I had to delete everything, re-download, redo it, and then it wouldn't process. So
what time did the show end up getting out?
Only 6:18 or something. It wasn't.
Okay. So it wasn't too.
It was still I was like, come on, seriously. So yeah, technology is not fun, but I've been sitting in front of a camera all day, so that's been fun talking about this Ravens team. Yeah, I mean, what can you say? This is the Ravens clearly not happy with their roster. We figured that someone would have to answer for the game on Sunday, and that ended up being at Oweh.
I was going to say, as the suspect, we all know Odafe Oweh, the man who created all the problems, the man who created.
He wasn't creating enough good problems on the field. So
yeah, and I agree. So I guess where do we want to start? Do we want to start in chronological order? We'll get into later on in a few minutes, later on in the show, we can maybe talk about Flacco did go to the Bengals. We can talk about if that means anything, but let's stick to Ravens to start. So the first move, the first domino of the day, and honestly, the domino that I thought was going to be the story of the day, Kevin. I thought this was the CJ Gardner-Johnson day in Baltimore. It ends up not just that, but Adam Schefter tweeted earlier today, free agent safety Chauncey, CJ Gardner-Johnson, is signing with the Ravens practice squad per his agent, Kevin Connor. Gardner-Johnson still gets his fully guaranteed 2025 salary with the Texans. So pretty much, as I said earlier, Kevin, there's no risk here financially, at least. At the moment, it's not like you're giving him a massive contract. You're not paying him $10 million to come in here, and it's a risk if it doesn't work out. So in that case, it's a low risk signing and financially. But Kevin, just what are your thoughts to start off?
Yeah, I mean, it is low risk. And honestly, and I talked about this on the instant reaction show I did for Locked On Ravens, like it can be a move, but it cannot be the move. And I had Kaji Ismail on Locked On Ravens for tomorrow, and I essentially said there are three paths that the Ravens can take. Yeah. Right. It's either they trust the young guys and do nothing else, they start fire sailing guys off, or they make another move, make more moves, and try to, save the season. And Q gave his answer, I gave my answer, and, I can't spoil everything, but, I can say that, like, the Ravens have a lot of different pathways that they can choose here. This is one that I think they needed to make because at least he is something. At least he has experience. At least he is a Super Bowl champion, so that the Ravens, who do not like to play rookies unless you have a specific role, and actually shout out to Steve Loop, who's become a regular on Locked On Ravens and the squad shows. So Tyler's dad, I was talking about, like, unless Tyler is like, Tyler had a role, right? Patrick Queen, he had a role. Linderbaum, he had a role. Malachi. Yeah. If you don't have a role, you're not playing in your rookie season a lot. But the Ravens have been forced into playing like almost their entire draft class this year, which they never do. And even to the point where it's like undrafted guys as well. So you're seeing guys not getting lined up in the first place, or, they aren't communicating properly because it's Teddy Buchanan with the green dot, who's in his 5th ever game using the green dot. And if, it's a tough spot to be in. So at least CJ Gardner-Johnson, even if, and there were reasons why the whole Texans thing didn't work out. He apparently wasn't picking up the system. He gave up multiple big plays that one of them resulted in a loss to the Jaguars or contributed to it. And, there's some questions about fit sometimes with certain teams and attitude and whatnot. But I do think the Ravens need a little attitude. Like, I think the Ravens need a little spark in the attitude department. So, like, I don't hate that at all. I think that he's someone that can at least light a fire. I mean, you saw Jair kind of do the whole, like, I'm going to fight you for the ball type thing. And I think a lot of Ravens fans appreciated that. So, I mean, I think in that department, it's good. And he's someone that maybe if it works out, you can make him a long-term part of your team. Like, at this point, what do they have to lose? Like, the defense is on his historic levels of bad. You might as well try out some stuff.
Yeah. And I agree, Kevin. I actually made that a big point in our instant reaction show was, listen, if you want to talk about the risk of, hey, CJ Gardner-Johnson can be a head case sometimes. We've seen him this season even, getting chippy with Baker Mayfield, getting chippy on sidelines, stuff like that. And my response to that is good. Because guess what? I can't say about the Ravens besides Jair Alexander in that one moment. Defensively, there's no edge. I miss the days where we were calling Kyle Hamilton a crash out. Like, at least we were hitting guys. At least we were in your face. There was this edge in the Baltimore Ravens defense. And I even brought it up. I was like, you talk about a mentality, and maybe it doesn't need to always be on the field of, hey, they're a star player to bring that mentality. I brought this up earlier. The one moment that sticks in my head of, hey, there's a dog mentality that can go to others. Arthur Millette trying to 1v53 the entire Kansas City Chiefs team before the AFC Championship. Like, yes, it didn't work out, but there's that edge. There's that toughness that when you go out there. I will never question if CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to play with an edge. You might have to take a 15-yard penalty every few games. That's going to be the cost of it. But like you said, Kevin, in a historically bad defense where it really can't get much worse, you might as well add someone with a little edge, a little fight, a little friskiness. It's going to get under the skin of the other team, who's not afraid to stick his head into literally any situation if it means he can get physical and hit somebody. So I think you need someone like that. And I think Jair has a little swagger to him like that. But I think if you want to talk about a guy who is kind of known for, hey, he's going to do whatever he wants to do. He's going to go out there and play the game how he wants to play. Let's not get it twisted. Yes, he was cut by the Texans because he wasn't, fitting scheme. Maybe there were some issues. This man's a defending Super Bowl champion. So it's not like, oh, you can't be good with him. He was a part of a very, very good defense in Philadelphia. So I do think it's one of those things where maybe even just from a mentality standpoint, like you said, Kevin, it can't get much worse. And I love this.
Yeah. You got to try some stuff out. There were a lot of other teams who were, these fan bases that looked at CJGJ. I'm still trying to get that down. CJGJ is the nickname.
Yep.
Does he go by Chauncey or CJ right now? I do not know.
I swear he changes every. So
because I've been trying to figure it out. I have no idea.
I've seen both. Like literally, but depending on the reporter that reports it, I've seen Chauncey and I've seen CJ.
Yeah. I mean, his stat page says CJ. What does his NFL page say? Maybe that's what I should go off of. CJ. Yeah. So, all right. All of it says CJ. So I'm going to roll with C. Yeah. All right. Ravens say CJ. So I'm going to go with CJ. CJ Gardner-Johnson. He helps a lot too when you're talking about Kyle Hamilton. That's the big thing. We'll get to Gilman and that trade coming up, but the Ravens clearly want to move Kyle Hamilton back into the box, use him as big nickel, use him up towards the line because this Ravens defense can't do anything right now. And Hamilton does a lot of things well, and they need his skill set there. Malachi's going to have to take on a role here, or some of these other safeties, and maybe Malachi takes a step back. I'm not sure what the rotation is going to look like with CJ and Gilman and all these guys. They have so many, and it's funny because I said that the Ravens invest too much in their secondary, and then they go out there and trade for another safety.
I will say, like you said, it is hysterical because as soon as they signed CJ Gardner-Johnson, the entire fan base was like, well, can he rush the passer? Can he block? And then the Ravens were like, oh, do we have something in store for you?
Yeah, they want to see me do it again. They get another one.
Oh, you don't think we won't double down on the secondary? Watch us. Man,
they got 5 former first-round picks, multiple $100 million contracts. No, but then again, you skimp out on the guard position a little bit, and pass rush obviously as well. But the thing with always a different conversation. But at this point, what do you have to? I just keep coming back to what do you have to lose? What do you have to lose? I mean, I saw on social media that CJ Gardner-Johnson's either going to be the best safety this team has had since Ed Reed, or he's going to fight John Harbaugh on the sideline within 3 weeks and get cut. Very wide range of scenarios, and either one is on the table.
It really is, and I think we're also to the point, Kevin, where I talked about this. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and they are going to. I think the secondary was a massive problem last week, and the biggest thing is, Kevin, they kind of like we alluded to earlier, they're playing rookies and undrafted guys in situations the Ravens hate playing young players. Like you said, Dave Buchanan's got the green dot in his 5th game ever. That makes the Ravens way, play like a Raven, the skin crawl. That just it gets to them because that shouldn't be, you have to be a veteran. You have to have, this type of establishment, standard to get that. And then suddenly they're just kind of passing it around because of all the injuries and stuff. I do think this is, with this and Gilman, which we'll get into in a second, this was them in my mind saying, like you said, Kyle Hamilton is going to be used as a Swiss Army knife. If our linebackers are not doing well covering underneath, Kyle Hamilton's going to do it. I don't think they see any, especially with Eric Kendricks declining, the practice squad spot. and all that. If they're saying, hey, we don't know what we're doing at linebacker right now, especially with Roquan out, drop Hamilton down there to help them out, and we'll let Gilman go and deal with the secondary with Malachi Starks, go to that 3 safety set like they succeeded in last year. So I think that is the biggest takeaway from me, is that they're going to try a different approach to this. They're going to try to help the pass rush and stuff by having Kyle drop back into the box. They're going to, try to stop it that way. And hey, I would be, and we talked to Marvin Lewis about this, and he talked about, no stone left unturned. They're doing that, they're doing that. They are trying everything right now to get this defense back. And we can use this to kind of move into the next trade. I still think they need help pass rush. And why? Well, that's not the one I was supposed to put up, but this. Another trade. Just a few hours later, Ravens receive safety. How do you say this? Alohi? Is it Alohi?
Alohi, yep.
Oh, okay. I was making sure. Alohi Gilman and a 2026 5th-round pick for edge rusher Odafe Oweh, and the Rams 7th round in 2027 that the Ravens acquired in the Tre'Davious White deal last year. So, Kevin, initial thoughts on this one?
I was shocked that it happened the way that it did, but I'm not shocked that Oweh is not a part of their long-term plans. I didn't expect him to re-sign with the Ravens. I think the writing was on the wall. Jess Rebeck and others reporting that, he had contract extension talks with the Ravens. Those didn't really go very far. And either way, if he had a bad year, the Ravens weren't going to want to re-sign him. And if he had a good year, he was probably going to price himself out of Baltimore. So I just didn't think he was going to come back. At this point, though, he has been invisible on the field. He has no sacks in 5 games. He has just 10 tackles on the season. And so I think a fresh start is good for everybody, right? I think that, it opens up playing time for Mike Green, Tavius Robinson. I do think that they need to make a move at pass rusher. I think you need to do 1 D lineman, 1 pass rusher. Who are those players? I don't know. But, even with the snap counts, they were decreasing for Oweh over the course of the last 3 weeks. So,
out-snapped by Mike Green, guys like that. I think the writing was sort of on the wall.
Yeah, it was. So, the Ravens save about $7 to $8 million, not $78, $7 to $8 million.
Gosh, I wish, Kevin. Could you imagine? Think of all the trades we could make if we had $78 million. We could give us an entire new O-line. Come on. But Kevin, that's the part that's most intriguing here, and we'll get into the acquiring Gilman in a second, although we've kind of touched on what that could do. Kevin, do you think this is something that leads and is showing that, hey, I saw Jeff Zrebiec tweet about it, could Eric DeCosta have something up his sleeve? I've seen people talk about Thibodeau, obviously the Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, Quinnen Williams. There are always going to be those rumors. Now, as I want to preface, those are lofty. That's not a, hey, let's just see what happens here. You're giving up a lot of assets to acquire those guys, and you would need to then use this $8 million. But Kevin, do you think that this might be something where the Ravens do go out and maybe acquire a big-time trenches guy, whether that be D-line or edge? I don't see them doing both, meaning on a big scale, but I would not be surprised if they make a more minor trade for either an edge or an interior guy, and then if they're going to splurge, go for one of them.
I just feel like they need to shake this organizational philosophy here. And it's funny because when I was zoning out when you said Thibodeau. I thought you were talking about Tom Thibodeau for some reason. Tom Thibodeau,
can he still rush? Can he rush the passer? Can he fill his gap? What are we doing?
But the reason I bring up basketball, not just for that reason, is because, for my Nuggets fandom, the Nuggets are doing everything they can in their power. They're trading away picks 7 years down the line when they're probably going to be bad again to try to maximize Nikola Jokic's window, because they have, in my opinion, the best player of the world and one of the best of all time. So when you have a generational talent, you should be doing everything in your power. Yes, you might suffer some in the long term, but and Jokic already has a championship. The Nuggets are trying to maximize to get him even more. For the Ravens, it should be even more of a push the issue type of thing, because Lamar Jackson hasn't made it to a Super Bowl yet. You need to get this roster around him right. And we thought they had it, but we knew that there were some weaknesses. Not only have those weaknesses flared up, but the injuries also have not helped anything. So there should be no punting in a season where Lamar Jackson is healthy and when he can probably come back after the bye week and perform. But, you're going to have to make some more tough decisions. 2019, they cut Tim Williams and, did the whole thing. Marcus Peters, LJ Fort, Josh Bynes. So, there's a lot of a lot of soul searching to do here.
And Kevin, I think Jack Settleman on Twitter put it pretty perfect. This is, to me, the Odafe trade is not them punting on the season. They're punting on the player. They understand that Odafe is not the player that they want him to be. They're not bringing him back. So you can free up $8 million here. He was losing snaps like you had talked about. And then at the end of the day, if you're not bringing a guy back, if he clears up some sort of cap and gives you an asset. Now I've seen, the draft pick value charts and stuff, and it says a 2025 sixth is about the same, or fifth is the same as a 2027 fourth at the moment value wise, which is what you would probably get for a comp pick for Odafe. So they get a trade. I think that they saw value in. They can help the secondary a little bit, give some cap relief. And then also, unfortunately for Odafe, it's just, he was the guy who was expendable. They didn't see him long-term there. And it's been disappointing because, Kevin, coming off a 10-sack year, everyone was expecting that Ravens pass rusher in a contract year bump. I mean, how many times have we sat here, Kevin, and, you could go through the list, Matt Judon, Zadarius Smith. We can go back far with Paul Kruger, with Courtney Upshaw, Pernell McPhee, guys like that, where it's like they go out and they end up getting themselves paid because of this stuff. It just didn't happen, at least not at this moment. Through the first 5 games, it wasn't happening. I think they started favoring other guys over him, and that's where they went. They decided he was the expendable piece. They got something that is what they saw as valuable for him, and I think that's kind of what – I don't think they went out here this week saying, we're trading Odafe Oweh. That's got to happen. I don't care what we're doing. We're trading Odafe Oweh. I think they started shopping him. They got a deal that they liked, and they're like, okay, it's the right time. They said that they were going to turn over all these stones. They were going to put pressure on. They were in high urgency, and they've done it so far, I guess. 24 hours after that's been said, they've at least given some sort of urgency.
Yeah, I guess so. And again, the writing was on the wall at the snap count, but they must have really not valued him to trade him for that. I mean, again, it's not good value for the Ravens, just straight up. Like, for a former first rounder who had 10.5 sacks last season, you should probably get more than a fifth. And again, like, Alohigan was not bad. He's not like this top tier safety either. He's kind of like a middling type player. He can fill a role, but is not like going to excel. And actually, I think, was it you that said this, Zach, or someone said that like Chargers fans are parading in the streets?
Yeah, it's kind of concerning.
Yeah, it's very Alejandro Villanueva-esque in my opinion. So,
Kevin, I'm not gonna lie. When I name searched him to be like, I was really hoping for, we gave up Gilman? Like, what are we doing? And the only person sad was Tony Jefferson. And I was like, I was like, Tony
Jefferson, like, 100% coming back to the Ravens when he retired.
Yeah. You know what? If that would have been the trade, if they would have gotten Tony instead, man. Could you? Oh, I just
Tony's playing well too.
He is. That's why. Oh, Kevin, that would have put us in. We would have
the vibes would have been better.
That vibe, Kevin, it would have been all-time high for this season. It would have been third quarter of the Bills game again. I would have said Super Bowl back on, because now you got a leader back there. You got a guy that's been there, done that. But they get Gilman, who reunites with Kyle Hamilton. Gilman was actually I believe Kyle Hamilton's freshman year. Gilman was the captain of the defense, or at least was a captain. And so they reunite. It's going to be interesting. But what are kind of your thoughts originally on Gilman, if you have any? I'm going to be honest. I have not dug deep enough in besides the name search to then see too many Chargers fans celebrating and then backtrack that name search and was like, I'm just going to protect my peace at the moment.
Yeah, I know. So I did the instant reaction on Locked On Ravens about the trade. And so in my comments, a Chargers fan commented and kind of gave a little bit of a lowdown. He said, here's a Chargers fan who's excited for Oweh and our defense. Gilman is good enough to be a rotational player on a championship team, but he's inconsistent in coverage. I think he'll be a perfect fit in the Ravens defense, especially if the plan is continuing to move Hamilton around like Derwin. Win-win for both teams. At worst, a wash. Maybe feel a little better, right? That made me feel a little better when that comment came across. So again, and I'm not expecting him to be like the best safety in the league. Now he actually he graded out as one of the better safety. I think him and Hamilton were 1-2 in the league through the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season in terms of, I forget what grade it was, but there was some grade that they were like 1 and 2 at in terms of a site. I don't think it was PFF, but it was something. And I think he struggled the next week. And again, limitations in coverage are tough because we know the Ravens, they've been struggling to cover in general, but I think he's more of that like physical guy. Again, I haven't dug enough into him yet. I'm going to try to over the rest of the week, but from what I can tell, he's just kind of like a middling player that's not good. He's not bad. He's just kind of like solid. Like that's it. Just solid.
And Kevin, I'm going to be honest. I'll take solid any day of the week at the state of the Ravens secondary, especially after injuries. If he is just average, like let's put the bar on the floor. If he's an average player, especially with all the injuries and the things that the Ravens have had to deal with, is that a win? Like, I think that's because, especially in the secondary right now, if you're able to have three safety sets now, you're able to let Kyle Hamilton roam and be that guy, Swiss Army knife. If you're able to do that and he's just average, CJ Gardner-Johnson's just average, I do think that helps. I do think that is an upgrade, which sucks, but, and I will now ask you this. Do you think this impacts Malachi Stark's playing time at all?
I think it could. Malachi's had ups and downs so far this season. I was really excited for Malachi. I made it very clear I preferred Nicky Manwari, who looked, he's been injured, but he's someone that provided a different skill set.
He also looked fantastic in his debut.
Yeah. And look, but I think both players are going to be very successful. They both bring different skill sets to the table. The Ravens already had Kyle Hamilton, so even Worry is Mike McDonald's Kyle Hamilton is essentially what that is. But I just think that it's unfair for me to grade a lot of these younger players because they're being put in impossible situations, like Malachi included. And Malachi, he came from Georgia, the Fighting Nick Moores. That's a program that gets you ready to play football at the highest level. It's essentially a pro program in a lot of different ways. And, it's not an excuse because, it doesn't matter if they're put in impossible situations. This is a team that's contending for a Super Bowl or has those expectations. You got to perform. But that's the conversation we went with Patrick Queen, right? When he struggled his first 2 years, if he was on the Browns or Giants, no one would have cared if Patrick Queen was struggling because there were no expectations. It was, hey, man, fight through those mistakes, young guy. You'll figure it out. Yeah. But when you're a young guy on a team that has expectation and is contending, it's the same conversation with Zach Orr. You have a lot of potential. I think Malachi is going to realize that. I even think Zach Orr, if he gets another chance, that's not with the Ravens. If he gets fired, he can realize that in a less pressurous situation. I
agree. I completely agree.
Go ahead. That's what was my point.
Oh, well, no, I was just going to say, just quickly comment on your Zach Orr thing. I completely agree. I think Zach Orr, to give up on him at 33 years of age, like to get to where he is, he's a bright talent. He's a bright mind. And in football, I do not doubt he's going to be a good defensive coordinator, whether it's here or somewhere else down the line. I do think he just needs more time. That's just kind of how many coaches start early, are bad, get a second chance somewhere, and then put it together. But Kevin, I couldn't agree more also on Starks. I think there's just this pressure, and unfortunately for Starks, if he did the exact same thing he's doing right now, but the Ravens were 3-2, 4-1, I don't think anyone cares. Because he's unfortunately a part of that, hey, this season is so disappointing. Everyone is at fault. Everyone. And that means a rookie in his first 5 years of his career is getting blamed and getting shit on because it's like, hey, you don't look great. It's like, yeah, He's a very young player in the NFL. They usually don't. So I think it's unfair. But like you said, no one would care if the expectation was to go 4-10, 4-13. No one would care. It's because the sky's falling in Baltimore that everyone suddenly is like, hey, someone's got to be at fault. And unfortunately, fingers get pointed everywhere. And when the entire defense is hurt and the next guy to point at's your first round pick, that happens.
Yeah, look, winning cures everything. Winning cures everything. And I mean, I think that we kind of saw this a little bit last year, and honestly the last couple of years at points, where the Ravens would win games, but winning lessens the sense of urgency, in my opinion, when things look bad. Now, the Ravens went through stretches last season where they pulled out wins, but it looked bad, and there were clear, like, they need to fix this, but they won. But, they won doing it anyway. So winning lessens the sense of urgency. It does cure everything, but it also lessens the sense of urgency. I don't know if the Ravens make this move if they're 2-3. If they beat Buffalo, I'm not sure. I don't think they make the move. I think that they'd say, hey, you know what? We know Oweh's inconsistent. We're going to bank on it a little bit. But you kind of saw the writing on the wall when they're looking for answers, and Oweh clearly wasn't it. Mm-hmm. And they're trying out other guys to see if they can make a spark. I expect Trenton Simpson to get more time on the outside.
At edge. I was going to say, put him at edge.
Yeah, he's on the outside. They're getting more time there. So, it's season's not over, but it is a downgrade in talent. Even if the production wasn't there, going from Oweh to Gilman, whether it is just potential or whatnot, it's a downgrade, and it's a downgrade at a position you need to get going. And even with Oweh not getting as many snaps, the Ravens still couldn't get a lot of pass rush. So they need to do something here, because I think that this is the start of, whether it's one more move or multiple, I think that they're definitely not done.
Yeah, and before we kind of move on, one, if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Two, Kevin, you were featured on Pat McAfee today.
You're telling me I had no idea. You're the one that broke the news to me. I had no idea.
Yeah, actually, when Brooks commented that, he was like, I think Kevin was on. I texted Kevin, and Kevin was like, I have no clue.
So, Brooks, if you're still here, so Brooks commented that on one of the lives.
Yeah, he was like, hey, Kevin was on Pat McAfee. And at first it just said that. And I was like, Kevin got brought on Pat McAfee and didn't want to tell a person. I was like, didn't want a homie to go support him. I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, this is crazy. But it was the tweet of yours about it. So that was super cool.
Yeah, they pulled up the tweet. I was wondering if they tried to pronounce my last name. They did not. There was just no mention, just the tweet itself. It wasn't like some.
But still,
I mean, still cool, for sure.
On Pat McAfee was super cool. But Kevin, let's dive into this now that Oweh is gone, and there's obviously some need in the interior even more now. KRH puts it right here. Is Christian Wilkins a move? Your opinion?
I would do it. I mean, I just think the problem is he just might still be recovering from the injury. I know
it has to be. It has to be.
There's the locker room stuff and everything that happened on his way out from Las Vegas. But I mean, Kevin, it's an all pro we're talking about.
Thank you. And that's because Ryan said the same thing to me, where he's like, I just don't know if, with everything that, is out there, and, if they're going to deal with that. And I was like, listen, he's got to still be recovering from injury, because I've seen guys get caught publicly doing a whole lot worse, and with that skill, with less skill than Christian Wilkins, have found their way onto NFL rosters very quickly. This seems like something where he is clearly still rehabbing something. When we get to that, we'll go, I think when he's ready, there's going to be suitors. And I think the Ravens should be one. I just think at this point, with this window in this season, it would be stupid not to, especially with Nnamdi done for the year.
Yeah. And again, I don't know the full extent of the situation that happened in the locker room. The stuff that's been reported, I've seen, I think, everything, but, maybe there's stuff that goes deeper than that, and then you got to reevaluate. I'm not sure, but I mean, they need somebody. You're right. And I think that the Ravens make the most sense for Wilkins, because there's a clear role for him on this team. Like, anybody that's looking for and this is why sometimes guys don't sign until the first month of the season or month and a half, is because they know spots will open up on rosters. Teams will need. I mean, we saw it with Clowney and the Cowboys, even the Ravens with Clowney and Van Noy a couple of years ago. The reason they signed was because their pass rush room wasn't working, and Ravens said, hey, we have roles for you now, whereas making a 53-man roster or roster crunches, that's hard for teams. So I think for Wilkins, if everything checks out on and off the field and, he's available, the Ravens should be on line one. Absolutely. Because at this point, like, he's a guy that can make a huge impact for you, and you don't have to give up the draft capital, which again is what the Ravens historically do. We talk about them getting to Dexter Lawrence or Quentin Williams or Jeffrey Simmons or whatnot, but it goes against everything they believe in organizationally, which is why, since I would like it, I'm going to vouch for it. But in my heart of hearts, I know that they're probably not going to.
Yeah, this is fun to talk about. I mean, the only time you can really say that is Marcus Peters. That really feels like the only time that there was at the time, star player, difference maker out there, and the Ravens were like, we'll do it. We'll go do it.
I'm even just talking about giving up like a first rounder. Like,
oh, well, yeah, no, they've never,
that's more what I was saying.
Yeah. And, I could see, the guy that she should have been here 10 other times, but I understand maybe he wants to retire in Arizona. At this point, I would give up a fourth for Calais Campbell. Overpay the hell out of this. Give up a fourth for him. Like, just get him back. Put something. I think he has like more sacks than than everyone on this team. Doesn't he have? I think I've seen at least.
I have no idea how many sacks Campbell has.
I'm looking it up right now.
He has
3. Yeah.
So the Ravens have 6. So
he has half the amount of the entire team.
Yep. That's crazy. My dream trade deadline for the Ravens that's realistic is Calais Campbell and Kevin Zeitler.
Why not?
Yeah, Kevin Zeitler from Tennessee.
So are you just rocking with what we got at the edge? Because I'm assuming Calais would kind of dip more into the middle to replace.
I guess. Thibodeau would be like cherry on top there, but he still has a year and a half on his rookie deal and still a lot of potential. So I don't know. This is crazy though. I talked about this on the instant reaction on Locked On Ravens, is that the trade package that people were cooking up for Micah Parsons was 2 firsts and either Oweh or Travis Jones. And now Oweh is gone for essentially a 5th rounder. And I'm just like, you could have used them. You could have done it. And here we are. So
I'd be feeling a lot better about this pass rush.
I know. I get the contract is huge. And
yeah,
but he's like him and Kyle Hamilton on the same defense is disgusting.
That would have been generational, Kevin. It would have been generational. But I didn't want to bring this up real fast. Am I coping for thinking this team can go on and run? No, I don't think you are. Why?
No,
because we've seen it before from teams. I think the schedule opens up for the Ravens, but the biggest thing is Lamar's health. If he has to miss more than past the bye, I think it gets very hard, if not near impossible, for this team to go on a run without him missing more games than that. But personally, no, I don't think it's coping. I think that this team, especially because no one wants to run away with it, like no one in this league, especially the AFC, wants to step up and run away with it. It seems like everyone's going to be hovering in that, I would not be surprised if 10 wins get you in the playoffs. I could very well see 10 wins getting you in the playoffs. That means, assuming they lose to the Rams, you get 2 mistakes. You get 2 losses that you can have. But no, I don't think it's coping.
No, and look, right now the Ravens have the 8th easiest strength of schedule remaining in the NFL. So, that there is an opportunity. The schedule opens up. But the thing is, let's just assume they lose to the Rams. If they beat the Rams, I think a lot of outlooks change. But if they lose to the Rams, they're 1-5. I think Jason says it right here. Colts started 1-5 in 2018. As long as you get Lamar back, you'll make the playoffs. They would have to go 9-2 over the last 11 games to reach the minimum threshold for last season, which was 10-7. That was the team that made it with the worst record, 10-7, to get in the postseason. So you're going to have to win essentially most, if not all, those AFC North games. You got to probably beat maybe you can afford a loss to the Packers and the Steelers. Maybe those are the 2 teams you lose to and you beat but then you got to, the Patriots looked good against Buffalo. You got to play them. I think, the Vikings are interesting. They're kind of a weird team right now, and so their offensive line is in shambles, but they're interesting. Chicago, Zach Bollinger legend Luther Burden about to put up 300 yards on that secondary.
Dude, I'm telling you, I was never wrong just early. The one I literally
negative yards.
that was so disgusting. And then literally 2 weeks later, because I kept laddering him up to like 40 yards because I was like, he's gonna get a deep ball. And then the week I didn't, he finished with 100+ yards and 2 touchdowns. I was like,
that's like the style all over again.
I'm like, this is disgusting. I'm like, it's clear that I'm the problem, Kevin. It really is.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. But I mean, yeah, the schedule does open up, and like, even though the Bengals got Joe, I'm not scared of Joe. I think that they can sweep the Bengals, especially with that. I mean, look, now it's Joe Flacco without the Browns defense. Now you got better receivers, but you know, there's nothing there. Oh, who's? Oh, look at that. Oh, and backwards.
Well, I'm not just gonna wear the Hollywood Brown 5. Or I guess Jalen Armour Davis.
Jalen Armour Davis. Yeah.
Yeah, but Kevin, I guess we got to talk about him. Joe Flacco to the Bengals. What are we feeling?
I mean, they needed to make the move.
Yeah.
Whether it was Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Flacco, maybe a few others. But again, like, I'm just so out on the Bengals until they fire Zach Taylor. Like, I've been out on them for a long time. Their defense is atrocious. Like, they're not going anywhere. And Joe Flacco is not saving them. As much as I love Joe and everything he did in Baltimore, he can't be the savior of the franchise, which essentially is what they're asking him to be until Joe Burrow gets back. So
yeah, I mean, they have an easier schedule. I think, same with like the Ravens, but
yeah, and the O line. Yeah, I see multiple people talking about it in the chat. Right,
crime scene. Yeah, and Kai, I appreciate you. Listen, the schedule is easier.
Yeah, I'm just saying on paper. Like, again, that's why you play the games, because you got to play the games not on paper. And I'm just saying, on paper, the schedule opens up. Does that mean they're actually going to play those games well?
Well, also, hopefully you're not playing these games without your top two corners.
Hopefully you get healthier. Yeah.
Hell, Kyle Hamilton, I feel like alone.
The problem is, even defensively, when they were healthy, they weren't good anyway. So.
Oh, no, I'm not saying, but they were also going up against the Lions, Bills, the Chiefs. But I feel like they can at least, like against the Bears, I'm not saying hold them to like 12 points. Hell, keep them under 30 and hope Lamar can put up 31. Like, I'm not saying
that's the problem. If Lamar played in the Texans game and the Ravens offense was lights out and scored 40, they still lose by 4. Like,
yeah, like
you got to trot the defense.
Well, hopefully at that point they would have not.
I know. Yeah, that's the whole theory of yeah.
But Kevin, it's been an interesting day in Baltimore. That's for sure.
I can tell I'm starting to lose my voice. How much I've talked today. 3 live streams, the morning show, which I recorded. I guess I recorded that last night, so I won't count that. But then I did shorts before each live, did my show. All we need is an Orioles game. They're playing tonight, right? Postseason?
Yeah, they first pitch at 9:05.
Yeah, about to sweep the Yankees. Yeah,
dude, did you see Vladdy?
What do you do? No, I didn't see.
2-run homer in the first inning.
I'll never get out of my mind postseason the Encarnacion on Ubaldo. I just,
yeah. I mean, they might
every Toronto homer. I get Encarnacion flashbacks.
Yeah,
I
Jay's
love
up
it.
2-1.
Encarnacion was a beast too.
Brother, it's October. You cannot say that name in here. Encarnacion?
Yeah, I know. I'm saying he was good.
Yeah, but don't give him credit right now. You can give him credit in November and September. Okay, the month of October we don't discuss those. Like, you don't say Ubaldo, who in these.
Do we discuss Cleveland legend Ubaldo setting himself up for that contract? God. He was so bad until that second half of the season in Cleveland, and then Orioles get. I still, though, if the Orioles signed Dexter Fowler and that deal didn't go through, they win the World Series. I'm so sold on that. You cannot convince me otherwise.
Gosh.
Yeah. And Charles, if you're talking about Encarnacion, I don't know if you're talking about Vlad or Encarnacion, that crowd pop was ridiculous.
Yeah, it sucks. That sucked.
I remember watching that game. And crazy that Zach Britton just left the stadium. He was nowhere to be found. Couldn't use him.
Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
But Kevin, anything else before we head out of here?
Nope. Just gotta upload Locked On Ravens now, edit that down, and just keep speculating. I guess. I guess we'll be back here if something else happens.
I was gonna say, well,
I'm keeping my head on a swivel. I don't know whether something else is gonna happen tonight.
At this point,
although these things usually come in twos, whether it be Lamar's extension in the draft or I forget what the other. There were a couple others where it's in twos in big moments. So
hopefully we stick to just two because Kevin, I'd also like to go to sleep at some point tonight, and not worry that I'm going to wake up to 100.
Yeah, I get so terrified during the season. I guess I'm terrified year round because anything can happen at any time. So
yeah, Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah.
What a time. But that's going to do it for this reaction for Kevin and Zach React. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out if you're new to the channel. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. We'll be back this weekend sometime soon. 45 minutes. Who knows? Who knows at this point? But appreciate you all, and we will see you for another edition of Kevin and Zach React. Random Raven.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Colecchio Semele.
Odafe Oweh, pour one out. Wow. American legend, Odafe Oweh. Former